Alien Goddess, welcome back to my channel. So this video, this is gonna be raw, and I will try not to cheapen it with heavy-handed words, but I have been going through a transformation with Dhanishta, with Shiva. And this profound emptying and sound. I had two things come into my path which unexpectedly, just arrived. And it was not big. It was not dramatic. My hawks. But when they showed up, many things were understood, not said. And my hawks are gonna be flying around. They have shown up too. See if you can see her. She's gorgeous. She's just circling right over there. When I tell you that there has been a bunch of them, I mean that. They just start circling low and talking, and first thing that showed up for me that I just knew. And mind you, I am not typically some nature mountain girl, right? My mom is, so mountains have been around my whole life. There's only been one. When this mountain showed up, my whole being remembered and was like, there you are. And I'm trying not to cry. But that was Kailash. I cannot describe to you. I wasn't even aware. Not even on my radar. It started with the monks in Tibet chanting. And then one day I was in a meditation And I can't explain to you why this mountain does this to me. But I was right there in front of her. And I had been given a key and all of this, but none of that is important. The important thing is, in this meditation, I seen these arms come out. And I'm sorry, I'm not emotional, but this freaking place does it to me. The Kailash energy. And these arms come out, and I'm standing there. And mind you, I'm super sovereign. I do not bow gently. I don't even lower my head to most beings or energies. Nothing outside myself. And these arms come out, and she peels open the heart of her. And she shows me the heart, the center, and what's held inside her. And for the first time in a meditation, I drop my head and I acknowledge. And from that day on, this mountain literally holds the heart center of my being, and that's why I get so emotional. The second thing that showed up was Sadhguru. Now I had very powerful, energetic and sound, sacred sound energies that lined up perfectly with this Dhanishta and even the Guru Purnimam. So Guru energy has been very present. One, I don't believe in gurus. And that's when I was watching this man, not as a man, and just watching how he moves and seeing how people act around him. And then I understood. I'm not seeing the man. I'm seeing the complete absence of self and embodiment of presence, which is an energy I have been in. Just embodying. And then I noticed one other thing. Presence and sound. There's this rhythm. You can call it Shiva, Shakti, whatever you want to call it. But there's this rhythm that happens when you are so completely empty. And for me, I see it like a 0 point, like a singularity, like a black hole energy, right? Grounded awareness, but then space. And in that moment, everything was understood. Everything. And I don't just watch this, I practice this. Then I had this moment in my life where I chose to. Each day it's a choice until it just becomes natural, right? Choosing that ever expansive, ever grounding, empty space. And it's contradictory, it really is. It feels like an absolute magnet that's just locked you into your absolute core, and at the same time, it's empty. When I chose, in a certain moment, to just show up in that presence, and just simply hold space. Let everything else go. What was said, what was done, what was felt means nothing. And just show up in that full presence. I have never understood what love was until that moment. It's been dressed up, had all these clothes, decorations, titles, everything thrown on it. Like I said, labels and names feel cheap, but when you find that empty space, and there is no you, really, just presence. The next thing you know, there's this rhythm, this hum, just like innately there. Total silence, but there's sound, right? That is the closest thing that I can describe to love. I don't know if that's what it is, or the effect of that space is what is felt and experienced as love. Also, for me, I think that's what Shiva is when they're talking about Shambho and Shiva. They're talking about that vast, empty, expansive, but permeating space. And the reason why they dance and they drum like Dhanishta is because once you can empty yourself so completely, and you just start embodying this presence, there's always sound. There's always a rhythm. Like, have you noticed, like, in those quiet moments and you're just meditating, even out in nature, there's no music, but if you're clear enough, you start to feel the rhythm. Your body starts to sway. Then there's this hum. It could come across like low hum, like om, or it could be or whatever hum comes through for you, right? The silence is never silent. And I experienced this too when I merged back with my field initially and had my ego rip off. This was this type of silence that I can't quite describe to you. When you feel so empty, there is something that is so full, so present. You're getting like the full nature show today. All the horses. And there were bees. And you can't just talk about this. This is not something that you can intellect. Intellect does not have a space here. And this is not a process that has been achieved overnight. I have been in a year-long, deep initiation process. With multiple currents, kundalinis, death, rebirths. And I didn't ask for Kailash or guru energy. It just, when you get to a certain space, it just sort of presents itself. But in that moment, I realized that's the magic of guru, of the Sadguru, right? Other gurus still feel very egoic to me. But I'm like, his specific magic is presence. That's why people drop to their faces and cry. That's why, and this isn't something mystical. This is something embodied. When you allow yourself to just empty and hold that space for people, this is beyond being selfless. This is beyond thought. This is a dance, a rhythm. You don't think about this. You just be. There is no think. There is just being. And when you can bring that type of presence into your everyday life and find that massively empty, extremely expansive, full core, and start showing up. And it's not really a choice. It's like you'll show up that way when you're ready, right? It'll just be natural. And that's the beauty that I think was being reflected is there was no person judging another person. There was no ego. There was just simply him being present. I think that's what he's been trying to teach everyone. Once you empty yourself, which could be Shiva, a form of Shiva. And I noticed even on his pilgrimages, wherever he goes, there's music, there's mantra, there's rhythm. And that's when the magic happens, when presence meets rhythm. That's full embodied life right there. So the invite here is during this Dhanishta with these eclipses, if you can find the space to just empty, keep emptying, rip it all off. The names, the labels, every intellectual thing, and just sit in the void. At one point or another, you'll hear it. The rhythm. Let it take you further, deeper into the nothingness. And then, this could be your meditation practice. But slowly, you'll just let all the clutter go. You'll stop being a being, an identity, a person. And you will just be. You will just emanate presence. And from that space, that's your own journey from there. But if you can find the void, and then dance in it, and any single time in your life something starts to pull you, or you feel like you're getting shook, come back to that void. Dance, sway, sing. Remind yourself, this is me. This is where I am. All of this does not affect this. I think and coming back to the earth, I think in those moments, that's when you really start to hear each other again. You really start to understand your connection with one another. So perfect timing with this eclipse coming up in a few days. All about going inward, embracing the nothing, embracing the void, and then hearing the rhythm, feeling it move through. In my opinion, this is how you wake in this moment, in those moments of complete emptiness, of void, of dancing, of rhythm. That's when she rises, your cobra, your naga, your kundalini. And at a certain point, you will find that she never sleeps again. There's this integration where you don't know where your cobra ends and you begin. You are that space, and your naga, your kundalini, your life force is the thing emanating out of it. If you can tune into the void during this Dhanishta and these eclipses with the frequency of the realm, I will be amazed to see how you transform, how you change. And not just saying it, living it, being presented with opportunities where you may have been wronged or hurt, but you genuinely just decide to show up and be present in however that looks, even if it's not being wronged or hurt. Just showing up in the most empty state. Because we were taught in the Western world that being empty is wrong, is bad. You constantly gotta fill something. But in truth, that is where you will find everything and more that you have been looking for, is in that emptiness, in that void space. And once the music starts playing in the void, that's life on another level. That's dancing on the currents. That's swimming in the sea of experiences. That's being that center that gets to push and expand and bend light like a black hole, right? It really is. Like a black hole, and on the event horizon where light itself literally bends around it. There's this dance, this movement, this rhythm. But the black hole, if you break it down to one single point, that one point is always anchored. As everything is emanating and moving and bending around it. And that point is nothing and everything. Nothing and everything. But yeah, so for me, it all boils down to presence. Presence. Just simply being present. And when you're empty enough, there's always sound, there's always song, there's always rhythm. So that was my offering for today. Don't believe anything I say. Try it for yourself. Experiment with it. Empty, peel. Let go. Cry, release. Sit. I got sucked into this tree right in front of me. See what I mean? And there's this level of discovery once you find your empty presence, your full and empty at the same time presence. You start to, this is the Naga, you start to become aware of other presences. And then slowly but surely, everything that's static and noise that doesn't hold presence, it just fades into the background. And because we are what we are, there's something that happens when a presence observes another presence. There's this meeting like, oh, I see you. And the energetics of that recognition and seeing are profound. And I think that's what the realm needs these days. It needs a lot more I see you, not I'm trying to fix you, not what do you support me with, not what can I give you, not what can you give me. None of that. And people, when they're ready, will embody their presence. This isn't something you can force. This is something that naturally rises when a being or a consciousness is ready for it. Because a presence does not coddle you. It does not really ask anything of you. It just simply shows up. And there's something very, very powerful about just simply showing up. And like I said, these are the best words, the best intellect. I don't want to drag this down with heavy-handed intellect and words. Do not. This is something you have to experience. This is an experience. This is something that when you know, you know. It's just, there is no separation from it. There is no explaining it. It just simply is. Now, also with this Naga celebration right after the first half of the eclipse, right? Nagas, serpents, dragons, primordialness. In its most heightened perception, because that's why we're talking Nagas, right? We're talking super high perception. Are the first emanations to arise, to awaken, when you have claimed your void. After the sound, the rhythm, which may or may not hold the Naga. Naga, sound, Naga, they're sort of very intertwined. But first or second, so void, sound, then Naga. That's when they awaken. When you're dancing in the void, when you're in the rhythm, when you are not you. You are, the word you is not even in the context. Simply being. Just presence. And this is a very powerful window of emptying, of finding the rhythm, and then letting your Naga rise. If you are ready for a transformation, and if you want to utilize the energies of the realm right now and of the sky, without any of the labels, simply become a black hole. Meditate on black holes. That's your doorway into the void, into the nothing, into the everything. Then once you're in the black hole, find the rhythm. And the sound dances the Nagas awake. And that is what I will leave you with today. As you can see, I have gone through very, very powerful And like I said, once they start dancing awake, at a certain point, they don't go back to sleep. So you go through these Naga awakenings, and it goes in levels and levels and levels until one day, in the space that I'm at, is where I literally got the Ashura, right? The red lines and the white cobra, and then the visual was like blood bursting into light, like light bursting out of blood, right? And now just sitting here, my white cobra, white, and the Ashura, right? I can't remember what the Ah stood for, but the Shu was breath, Ra was light. There's a level of integration. There is no more separation between your Nagas and you. You become Naga. Like, you, from that empty presence, you fully embody your Kundalini, your dragon, your serpent, your Naga. And that's just a next stage on the journey of, you go through these waves of awakening, then never really going back to sleep, but kind of settling, but then awakening again. And then there's this moment where the rising has happened over and over again, to the point where it's constantly risen and it's anchored and integrated in. I don't know what that stage looks like yet, because I'm currently in that stage. But if you are working with Kundalini energy right now, don't believe me, utilize this practice. Meditate on black holes. I'm not joking. Black holes with event horizons. Find your void, the Shiva, dance in it. Find the rhythm, let the sounds move, let the emotions come out. Empty, 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 right? And as you're dancing and emptying, you're being filled completely expansively with your pure presence. And that is the dance of the Nagas. That is how to safely awaken your Kundalini, your serpent energy. Right now is an extremely potent time for that. So if you're ready, and listen to your body, which is the gorgeous structure, construct, temple that holds a fucking black hole. If you're ready to really wake that Kundalini up, you lull a serpent. You dance with a serpent. You don't reach in and grab a serpent by the tail or by the head, or else it will bite you. But with these energetics, in this Dhanishta, in this void state, with this Shiva and this Naga, I can't wait to see what your guys' Kundalini moves like, because awakening it in such a powerful window, more power to you on that journey. That's exciting. So this is some of the practice, take it or leave it, that you can use if you want to safely awaken your Kundalini. This is just my advice on how to do that. And I hope you have an amazing emptying journey during this time, using these powerful energetics to support you. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.